If I achieved that in both the times that I was either in army warships or big fleets, etc., that's what I'm most proud of. And that's probably when I was most blue myself, and I think the team around me was blue as well. And by the way, I'm not trying to overstate my success. I reckon I've put teams into the blue in 3 weeks. I've struggled to get teams out of the green and red after 6 months. So we all, got to put in perspective as well. It's staying in the blue is aspirational sometimes as well, as much as reality. But I'll leave it there, Adrian.
Very accessible to your crew, and I wonder how you achieve that. Did you achieve it by staying in your office and inviting them to come and visit you, or were you actually walking in their shoes? Were you there with them, doing, seeing what they were doing and working with them? How did you do that?
Yeah, first of all, Adrian was very kind talking about my leadership successes. We probably would need the rest of the day if I told you about my leadership failures and my bad days, because not every day is a good day. So could I just tell one story about being a captain of a warship?
Yeah.
It was about 1990, and of course Adrian was in the Navy a few years ahead of me, and very highly decorated helicopter pilot. But he probably hasn't told you that. But I was in the Malacca Strait as a midshipman, and we were going through the Malacca Strait. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. There were ships everywhere. And it was all going badly, and I was a very junior officer on the bridge, and the captain was called to the bridge. And it was a guy called Captain Chris Oxenbould. And the bridge, everyone on the bridge parted, and the captain grabbed his binoculars, went to the front window, and calmly looked out. And it was all going bad. Everyone stopped talking, and everyone looked at the back of his head, and everyone thought, "That's the captain. He's in control." And he didn't say anything. Everyone started doing all the right things. It was quite remarkable to see it. Fast forward 20 years later, I just joined HMAS Parramatta, Malacca Strait, not far actually from that area. All going badly, 3 o'clock in the morning, we kind of, the junior officer kind of lost control, which happens sometimes. They called me to the bridge. I grabbed the binoculars, the bridge parted, went to the front window. Everyone was looking at the back of my head thinking, wow, that's our captain. I was looking through the window going, what the hell do I do now? So, so I realised 20 years earlier, I actually spoke to Captain Oxenbould. So the reality is you've got to keep it real. You've got to be very genuine, authentic. If you're not naturally a person that bounces around every day, to go see the men and the women where they are, it's not authentic, or if you're a person naturally, is doing it too often, often, and you try and pull back and be this big, stern captain in your cabinet, it's not authentic either. So, you've ridden a horse to a certain extent where you are as a leader. You should actually continue to ride that horse, but just be aware of your environment. I think that's very important. Captain at sea is a little bit different because there actually is the privileges, by the way, and I think it's been written, there are some privileges, but of course versus actually the responsibility, etc. as well. So you try and balance that up. But there is actually a slight act there as well. The expectation that a captain is the authority, the lead, and when it's all going kind of not well, like I said on the bridge, that you can turn to that one lady or man to make sure that there's a leader at the time. And of course, that's nurtured over a long time. In fact, when I became a captain, another story is that often I would say things in that first couple of months, and I go, "Where did that come from? That sounds really good." But you realise you've kind of been nurtured, and all that experience drives you to that point. Look, the other thing if I was being asked by an up and coming commanding officer or any of you about how you can actually get into a rhythm of really getting to know your people, I made a point of having at least 5 deep, meaningful conversations with the people I either worked with or worked for me every single day. And you need to do that to really know your people. In fact, that exercise with the pyramid about frontline workers being the most stressed, etc., the most, that's a really good point, because I often found that your most junior people, they may not behave bad. They may make a mistake during the day, or they may arrive work for late. 99% of the time, they had no intention of having a bad day. But before you throw them under the bus, you actually have to understand what's happening in their lives. Why have they behaved differently? What's different, etc. as well. And I think that's when to be frank, that's sometimes when I failed as a leader. You've gone straight after bad behaviour, or you made an assumption, but you realise you actually haven't stopped. You actually have to understand why your people actually behave and what's really important to them. So I think that mantra of actually having 5, and I mean 5 real conversations, every single day with 5 people, And also not just your verticals. We get so focused on our verticals, people down below you, and actually people, you know, above you. Your horizontals are actually the critical ones, your peers. Make sure you really know your peers. And I think I've made, that's another mistake of mine. I think I'm pretty good when it comes to verticals. I don't think I've always been as good as I could be in the horizontals.
I really appreciate your contribution, and I really thank you for your service. And I hope that you know, in the future, you know, you tell your story a bit more, because it's very inspirational.